Portland Eastern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Prime Minister. Prime Minister, I crave your indulgence because I don't want to sound repetitive. I had a conversation with the Minister of Works, if I'm saying that, yes, in terms of preserving roads at this time. So if we don't have exceptions to the rules in everything that you'd outline, we may find ourselves in a situation where we're spending more to preserve roads that we just previously spent a lot of money to repave and construct. For instance, I can think of one road in Bellevue that's in Fellowship, Portland. The top of it was done, millions of dollars spent, and the bottom of it. In the middle of it, there was no works done. So what you have is the road actually deteriorating, the unimproved area going into the area that was improved, and between the road and the drain. The conversation I spoke about is the practicality of you'd have to spend money to even dump the spaces so that it doesn't actually disintegrate further and start to destroy the other road, the new road. So my question then is, will there be an exception to the rules where it's identified? Because I know you outline the role of the MP, but if we are on the ground and we're seeing particular things to preserve the status quo while we await the parishes that are affected, we may find ourselves with a higher bill. And so before the next part of it is certainly the parishes that are situated similar to mine that I would have heard my friend speak about. The drain cleaning exercise is also one of road preservation. When the debushing part of it and the drains, gutters that are like drains on those expensive roads, if they are not, if the debushing and the drain cleaning isn't working in tandem, what you're going to have is that the road itself is then destroyed. And so there are situations where, notwithstanding what's happening with NWA, and I heard it's practical, but the preservation is going to be almost as if we're going to find ourselves with a new problem and a more expensive bill. And so there was a complaint because in my constituency, I've had to take the decision to simply get barrel and shingle, that I'm now learning that there's a different quality, and NWA is telling me you need to stop because the quality of the marl is not good. No, I'm just bringing that out to say that the practical solution, which rightly the minister would have advised me, is to, if you can stop the gap, you're going to have to do that. But how long can I afford to do that in a private capacity while we wait? And so I just needed to consider that.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just listening to the Member of Parliament, I can see his passion and the genuine desire of wanting to help. And just reflecting that when I became a Member of Parliament, I may have taken the same posture. But I'm sure that your senior colleagues over there, as I read their faces, would be saying, he will learn. But remember, when we sit here and make the rules, we are not intent on breaking them. But when exceptional circumstances are brought to our attention, we will have to address them. The provisions made to members of Parliament, and let me say this, and I have to be the one to say it because you're going to face your constituents who will tell you, the Prime Minister allocate $5 million to you, to your constituency. Fix all the roads. The funds that are allocated to members of Parliament are not meant to replace the functioning ministries, departments, and agencies who have budgets to actually deliver the service. The allocations that are given to members of parliament are there for them to be able to respond to urgent, critical welfare and health and other critical social needs and some infrastructure needs. But the member of parliament is not the executive director of the NWA or the managing director of the NWA. He's not the supervisor of works. I have to say that and say it clearly. Now, I know some of us want to pretend as if we are, because that is the way you win votes. But it is setting you up because you will not be able to fulfill the demands. I need to just say your protection from East Portland and for all MPs. So if you have said you have brought it to the attention of the minister, I just had a word with the minister. There is a process. These things, if you bring them to the attention of your NWA parish manager, or I suspect that road is a parish council road, that you bring it to the superintendent of works in the parish council. Those matters would then funnel up into the larger budget, and then the decisions are made as to how the larger budget is allocated to what is a priority. All right?
Member from Eastern St. Thomas Eastern.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Okay. Prime Minister, I heard you mentioned some special areas outside of the badly affected areas. I want to crave your indulgence this evening. There are two areas in Eastern St. Thomas. Bath, where the river, contrary to what persons are saying, that persons build their houses on the river banks. The road is the Copper Lane area where the river undermined the road. And it's in a very, very dangerous way. The last hurricane, the motor vehicles were washed away. Houses have been undermined, and persons are traumatized because they have nowhere to live. They have to be here, there, and everywhere, living with family members. Some of them, the convenience is not proper. So I am asking for special consideration for the Bath Copper Lane area where the river washed away vehicles and undermined the structure. Also, Rowlandsfield, where there is a breakaway in Rowlandsfield, very, very dangerous, Prime Minister. It happened from Beryl, and it has worsened since Hurricane Melissa. So those two areas I'm asking for special considerations.
Mike, Minister, Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm taking that this will be the last question so that we can wrap up. But you mentioned, member, special communities. We're going to be driven by the ADPEM data as to the areas that were affected. I suspect that Bath and the area that you have mentioned would be considered in the cleanup effort. It seems to me that you're suggesting that it is more than just the cleanup that you need. I take note of that, and I will, through ADPEM and the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, ensure that the proper assessment is done, a report is given, and we see how best we can respond. Questions were raised about breakaways, and I didn't answer them. Now, just to be clear with the breakaways, the NWA is in the process of assessing the breakaways. I have seen that there are members of communities who are saying that they are taking matters into their own hands and trying to create pathways on unstable soil. I can only use this platform to advise members. I am the first one to encourage and support community initiative, but trying to construct pathway on a landslide or a breakaway is very dangerous. The NWA, as I've said, they have done assessments, and there are two issues that we have to consider, which the public should understand. Once there is a breakaway, the alternative is to either bring the road inland, which would mean in some instances, or most instances, going through private property. We would have to acquire that. That takes some time. Or if we decide that it is feasible to restore the breakaway, which is usually a very expensive undertaking for civil engineering. So it is not something that I can tell you that it will be corrected overnight. So if there is obviously no alternatives, alternate route, then we will have to move there very quickly to provide access, right? But if there is an alternative route, or an alternate route rather, I would encourage persons to use the alternate route rather than to risk going through the breakaway or the land slippage.
Member from West Central, St. James.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Prime Minister, are you aware that members of Parliament have experienced great difficulty in sourcing equipment in the immediate aftermath of the hurricane and are still experiencing that difficulty, and so it may impact that role of identifying equipment for the cleanup work? Firstly. Secondly, can we get an indication of what equipment has come in through international aid in the disaster response process? And thirdly, whether any mulching machine or other equipment that can assist with the biodegradable vegetation has come in or can be sourced to expedite the cleanup.
So I'm aware of the shortage of equipment. So if there is a general shortage, I'm certain that MPs are going to find it difficult. There is a notion that we have a lot of trucks, and as we pull from the regular trade, it is going to impact construction, agriculture, transportation. So we have to manage that very carefully. What we have done, we have made an allocation of $200 million to acquire equipment locally so far. I don't want to say too much about what we have started to procure, but we have started to look at tipper trucks, which are locally, which we can get out of the local supply here, brand new, and chipping machines, wood chipping machines. We have started to look for those. There are not many in the local trade because you need the industrial heavy-duty types. We have asked our partners to supply excavators, heavy, what they call it, D9 bulldozers, compactors, water trucks, and we have sourced water trucks here locally as well. So yes, we are trying to source what we can here locally, and we have asked our international partners to also supply. What was the other question? I think that's it.